Okay, you are launching your first ever EMEA channel program for Entuity Software. I guess it'd be good to understand why now, and in terms of specifics for the MSP channel insights readers, what market gap does the launch address for them directly?
Sure. Okay, so obviously we were delighted to launch this program in the EMEA region. We've worked with a global partner for the last 15 years. We've expanded our sales force, but the only way to get real scale is through the channel. And so we see this as a huge opportunity to grow the Entuity Software revenues and to help our partners grow their revenues, both in terms of license revenues and professional services revenues in the EMEA market. In terms of the gap, I think there's a lot of products in the market, and I think in the press release I said this is probably the best kept secret in terms of the Entuity Software offering. One of the key things about that is it has an on-prem offering, so you can use Entuity as an on-prem license as opposed to cloud-based. And certainly one competitor we've seen move from perpetual to cloud-based licensing, and therefore, taking their partners into that world where they may have customers which are better suited to having an on-premise and perpetual license. So I think now is the perfect time for us to launch Entuity into the market.
Okay, and perhaps before we explore a little bit more about what it means for the partners, can you tell us just a little bit more about the Entuity Software solution, what it is, what it does? Sure.
So Entuity was created by a couple of software engineers in London back in 1997. It's been developed significantly since then. It is an enterprise-class, scalable software solution for network and infrastructure monitoring and management. Our biggest customer is around 250,000 devices today. It's available, as I said earlier, on both a perpetual or a subscription license. So we give the option of both of those. It has very strong functionality out of the box. So you don't need to buy additional modules. It's all in one solution out of the box, which also makes it easier when you're trying to put a proof of concept together to get that proof of concept up and running in one day. I would say it's got a very easy to use, intuitive interface. And I think the other thing that's important is it's very configurable as well as customizable. So a lot of solutions in the market are very customizable, but configurable means it's easier and faster to get the functionality that you need and then to produce that information into a dashboard to make it easy to understand what's happening across your infrastructure. And then finally, of course, you've got to have the hooks into various ITSMs. So for example, ServiceNow and others, we have APIs into those particular solutions.
Okay, and in terms of what it offers for the partners, I think the info I got says it allows them or will allow them to differentiate themselves in what's a crowded marketplace. I mean, is it possible, can you give me a real world example scenario where an MSP using Entuity could win a deal against a competitor Sure. using a more standard monitoring platform?
Sure. So a great example, I was in the Netherlands a couple of weeks ago. I was talking to an MSP that services the government and security sector in the Dutch market. They were looking for a solution that had that on-premise capability so that they could ring fence or create a dark site for their customer and manage and monitor the services within that particular ring-fenced environment. So that was something that they got very excited about, was that capability in Entuity versus a lot of the competitors. And with that, I mentioned that the ability to configure the solution, that faster time to market, if you can build something and get it up and running quickly by configuring the tool rather than having to write code or customize it, That's another key feature that they were really impressed with. So I think that's where the differentiation will come, is for those certain market situations that the MSP is looking to address.
Okay, and in terms of the partners you're looking for across EMEA, is there a particular type size? I mean, we've got traditional VARs, MSPs these days. So just give us some idea of who you're interested in getting to know and hopefully signing on.
Sure. So we already have quite an extensive partner network across our third-party maintenance and managed service offerings. So we know a lot of people, and therefore, we will be taking this to market to those organizations. However, breaking it down, there's probably three areas. You've got the resellers, so organizations with maybe limited in-house professional services capability. So they will be able to resell the license and be assisted in that sales process, as well as being able to resell our professional services to implement that for the customer. You've then got solution providers. So these solution providers may be MSPs in their own right. So they may need to implement an MSP solution or update their own network monitoring and management system or infrastructure services solution. And then they also typically will want to grow their annuity business. So looking at both license revenues ongoing, but also the professional services skills. So we can help get them up to speed to be able to then use their own professional services resources to grow their revenues in both PS as well as licenses. And then thirdly, you've got distributors. So we've already signed our first distributor in the Middle East region, an organization called Tech Asia, and we will be looking at potential distributors in other parts of the EMEA region.
Okay, and in terms of the partner proposition, I guess I presume it's a fairly standard list, but tell us a bit more about the things like financial incentives, training, marketing, the lead gen, etc. Just what is it that the partners can expect from yourselves when they sign on?
Sure. So obviously one key thing is margin. Everyone is looking to make margin on reselling licenses and the associated professional services where it's a third party delivered service. So margin will be a key part of the offering. So the partner's able to make margin on that license sale. We've also built into the program a rebate capability. So with a partner, we might set a target, a threshold that we'd like them to achieve, mutually agreed between us, and then we'll pay a rebate against that achievement. So that incentivizes them for the more longer term of growing that business. And then the other area is on professional services. So either adding a margin to our professional services in the delivery of the solution for the customer, but actually building up their own in-house professional services team gives them the opportunity to make ongoing revenues as the customer implements and maybe then adapts the Entuity solution in their environment. So I think it's multiple tiers really: margin, rebate, and then the sort of professional services margins and or in-house capabilities and growing an ongoing business.
Okay, and in terms of the importance of IT infrastructure monitoring and management, having a platform for that for the end user, how important is that? So I guess that that again back to partners, how big do you think is the opportunity for your partners?
Yeah, well, I think it's a large market, and as we know, there are lots of competitors in this market already, and therefore, I think the opportunity for most organisations is to provide that ability to monitor and manage not just their infrastructure, so not just server storage networking in an on-prem environment, but also their cloud environment. So the ability to include within that single pane of glass both sort of AWS Azure environments or a private cloud, and also then the software as a service applications, website monitoring, and also applications. So Entuity offers you the ability to bring together the sort of infrastructure monitoring, cloud monitoring, and applications monitoring into a single environment.
Okay, and in terms of the sort of one of the key features I think of the solution is the on-prem and the cloud flexibility. And I guess it'd be good to understand how that flexibility becomes or could become a sort of sales tool for your partners, I suppose, especially in sort of what we might call a high stakes sector. Yeah, how does that work?
So I think, having the ability to do both is the most important thing. We see a lot of customers now repatriating. So some customers went fully to public cloud. We've seen some issues recently with downtime in the public clouds. So I think a lot of organizations, particularly for key workloads, are looking at, do I bring this back into a private cloud environment? And therefore, what they need is the ability to be able to amend how that service is monitored, taking it back from the public cloud back into a private cloud. They want that same service to be available no matter where the server storage networking environment is sitting. So I think Entuity offers you the ability to make those changes very simply to be able to then keep that single pane of glass operating.
And in terms of sort of looking further ahead slightly, what are you hoping to achieve? I mean, I don't know if you've got any firm objectives in terms of numbers and stuff, or just generally in sort of what are you wanting to achieve over what sort of time frame when it comes to, I mean, you've launched the partner program, obviously you want to develop it. I mean, has there been any feedback to date, or is it too early? And then, sorry, it's a long-winded question, but
Sure.
and how will you continue to support partners' sustained growth, I guess, over time, a few years' time from now? So, yeah, the future, if you like.
So I think the key thing for us is not to have hundreds of partners. We would rather have one or two partners in each geography that is supporting our sales go-to-market. So, by the end of this year, I'd like us to have signed up 1 to 2 partners in each key geography. As I said, in the Middle East, we already have the distributor in place now, Tech Asia. In the UK, we recently signed a partner here that was a sort of networking specialist organization that was unhappy with the existing partnership they had with one of our competitors. So, they're very focused on the network monitoring and management market. We also have a large partner, one of the top CRN partners in the UK already, selling the Entuity offering in the market. And we've done a lot of work also helping train those organizations so that they're able to then get their sales team up to speed with selling it. I think, each of these partners, we expect them to generate a good revenue in terms of licensing. And then maybe, by say 2030, we'd like to probably quadruple the size of our business in this particular market. So very significant goals. And that will be supported by an in-house team of people that will help lead generate. I think you mentioned that earlier. So we will have an internal telesales function effectively generating leads for partners. We have sales specialists who can work alongside the partners to help them co-sell. And all in all, that gives them the ability to be successful with Park Place firmly supporting them in the market.
And maybe just following up on the growth, I mean, that's quite a significant sort of growth by 2030 there. Is that mainly just growing the market? Is it still a fairly emerging market? So there are a lot of customers that potentially just don't understand what's available, or are you looking to sort of grab market share, if you like, from the competition, or what's the sort of growth strategy, I suppose?
So absolutely both. So yeah, definitely we want to take share from the competitors, which I think we can do with the visibility of the product in the market. But also there are some organizations, we still see some resellers becoming MSPs or developing that capability. So I think there's definitely an opportunity for those organizations that don't have a NOC, they haven't built that capability in-house. So we can help them get off the ground and give them a really good tool to move their business from that reselling business into an annuity business. And then, as I say, taking business from the competition, the combination of the two is going to help us get to that target of quadrupling the number by 2030.
And maybe just finally, the Park Place name. I mean, I'm familiar with the company from a long time ago, but it seems very dynamic. It's acquiring, it's developing. So, how powerful is I guess the Park Place brand when it comes to developing out the channel?
So I think Park Place is becoming a lot more visible in the channel than historically it was. As I said, in EMEA, we have a large number of partners, including some of the top CRN organizations, for example, that we've signed up over the last 2 to 3 years. I think Entuity is only going to help us to grow that visibility in the marketplace as a software provider and a services provider, as well as a maintenance and managed service provider. And of course, the other key thing is we use this product in-house to deliver our own managed services, our own monitoring. So we're the proof that's in the pudding. We've used it, we're using it in-house, and therefore I think Entuity will become more visible in the market in the next 5 years.
Excellent. I mean, it's been lovely to chat, and thanks so much for explaining what's going on and sharing some thoughts about the market in general. So, Ian, really appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thanks, Phil. Cheers.